Hello, my name is Derek Zanetti, and I play music called the Homeless Gospel Choir. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And now he looks better than ever.
So the first question I have, new albums coming out in the fall.
August 18th.
August 18th.
August 18th.
I've been wondering. I have not seen a date, so I was
we're keeping it kind of secret, but I guess it's not secret anymore.
And you just released the single for that.
Yes.
Why do it like that? Why release the single?
I just wanted to just give everybody a little taste. It's been a long time since I've released new material, and over 3 years now.
Right.
And I just wanted to have something that was special, that was that went along with, you know, the record that we put out, that we're going to put out, and just give you a little nugget of what's to come.
Good. I'm glad to see that. I'm really looking forward to the album, of course. We've been all looking forward to it, especially after we were told it was an excellent record, so that's good. And it has been a few years since you put out I Used to Be So Young, which is the last album. What have you learned in terms of recording an album? What did you learn between one album and the next, and how did you use that?
This record took me a really long time to make, because I wanted to have the framework of it prepared well beforehand. So there's a storyline, and there are tales that go along with the record that tell a narrative. So it's not just one song called Normal with a bunch of songs around it to take up space. All the songs fit in with each other, and it tells a story. And to tell that type of story and to provide that type of narrative took a little bit longer than I thought. And to have some of my friends join in with me and be on the record and sing on it and play on it, it just took a little more time than I initially thought. And I'd never done anything like that before.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
I usually just write a pile of songs, and I'm like, oh, these 10 are the best of the new songs that I wrote, and maybe we'll put that on a record. I don't know if that's a good way to do it or if it's a bad way to do it. I just the way that I've done it in the past. But this record has a very specific story to tell, and it's a surprise, and I can't wait. I can't wait for it to be shown to you.
So with that in mind, did you wake up one morning and go, oh, I want to do a record that's got a narrative to it? Or did you start writing songs and go, wait a minute, I think I'm telling a story, a longer narrative with these songs?
I had a very good friend of mine tell me about a record that they had made before, and they told me about what it would look like to have everything fit within a picture frame. And everything is within your picture frame, so all the pieces and all the parts are already there. All they need to do is be brought to life. The story already exists, and the story is already finished. All I had to do was put music to it. And a little bit of a secret to it is that the narrative is a puppet show, and it talks about the story talks about what it's like to. You know, often you see in like cartoons or in imagery that some person have like an angel on this side of their shoulder and a devil on this side of their shoulder. Well, this story, there's a devil on this side of their shoulder and a cop on this side of the shoulder, and they're both telling them to do the same thing, and this little person's always getting into trouble. And the songs and the story talk about that, and talk about what it means to find yourself, what it means to be afraid, and what it means to find hope and community and belonging in some very peculiar places. And for me, that was punk rock music, and for me, that was my punk rock community. And I just want to tell that story in this voice and in this narrative. And I'm really fortunate that we had a chance to do that together.
That sounds really, really awesome. Now I'm really, really looking forward to it. You've written stories before. Was it harder? Like, do you think it's harder to write like actual words or to do the music? To like tell your story? Is it easier to do it with words or with music?
I'm a natural bullshitter, so I could go ahead and tell you a story about anything. I could just make up a story about a cat and a fiddle and the whole bit, and just and make you believe that I've known that story my whole life. And I like to tell stories, and I like to tell tales, and I like to engage in that way. So for me, it's easy for me to sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and write down a narrative of a story, whether it's about, excuse me, somebody's purse who got stolen, or a giraffe that eats apples, or a canary that can sing the blues. You know, I can write a story about those things, and it comes pretty easily. To be able to turn that into music, for me, is a little bit more difficult, only because I have a very specific idea of how I want to promote the song, and how I want to write it, and how I want it to look and be framed, and it just took a little bit longer.
But still, you think it's easier to write for you?
Yes, for me the words come very easy for me, because I spend a lot of time up in my head, and there's a lot of fantasy and mystery and questions that are circling around there all the time, and for me to go ahead and tell a story, whether it is true or fictional, is very easy to do for me, and I enjoy that part of it.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's really awesome. The fact that you can actually use both formats to tell a story. I mean, I can write, but I certainly can't make music. So for me, anyone who can make music is just like really amazing.
I think I'm just good at fooling people. I don't know if I'm very good at it.
I would not say that. You released a video for Normal.
Okay.
Tell me about that.
Well, of the songs that I made for the record, this one tells a very specific story, and I wanted to make a video of something that I thought was going to be fun and funny and attention-getting, and something that grabbed onto your attention. And I think sometimes music videos can be like sad or scary, and there's a lot of sad and scary things in this record, but this song is a song of hope, and it's a song of togetherness, and it's being able to say that I'm not normal, and I'm not those things, and I'll never be those things, and I'll never be normal, and I might never fit inside of your shoe or your shoe box, but I'm going to celebrate that. And I wanted the song and the video to reflect celebration, and I wanted it to reflect like this fun expression and this fun experience, because the song is upbeat and the song is fun.
So why choose the vehicle of Alanis Morissette's?
Well, Alanis Morissette is just one person, and I also happen to be one person, and she talks to herself a lot in that video, and I talk to myself a lot just in real life, and I just thought what a wonderful image it would be to have myself with different personalities engaging with one another, and having this, you know, discussion of like inclusion. And I like Alanis Morissette's music a lot. I think Jagged Little Pill is one of the best records of all time, and I'm not just saying that because I ripped off her video. I'm saying it because I really mean it, and those songs mean a lot to me. And I thought about it a long time ago. I said, you know, I should be in all the seats in that car, and I should try to do a version of it myself. And I just kept on talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. And then Chris.U. from Anti-Flag and I sat down. He says, I think this is actually something that we can do. Let me go ahead and ask my friend Doug and see what he thinks. And he asked my friend, our friend Doug, who works for a video production company. And I said, this is what I want to do. Do you think we could do it? And he said, I think we can do it. And it just happened. It was kind of magical.
It's a very magical video, actually. I was
Thanks so
really impressed with it. It was a lot of fun. And I mean, Normal's one of my favorite songs anyway. So
thank you very much.
you've got a lot of fans that are actually kind of big names in the music world, at least with the indie punk scene.
Okay.
How does that feel?
I don't know what to even think about it. I guess it feels good that people like your music. Whether you're a person that has one friend or a million friends, the fact that you connect to it means a lot to me. But I mean, of course, everybody wants to, you know, if some like, you know, celebrity or whatever likes your thing, that, you know, makes you feel like a certain way or whatever. And maybe if I was interested in that, maybe it would make me feel a lot better. But I personally don't like the idea of fans. I don't like that terminology. I don't like that type of idea that we can just be friends. And like punk rock is supposed to be like an inclusive thing, and not everybody gets to play the guitar and sing, but maybe you can bring something else to the table that's valuable, making video interviews, preparing some sort of a vegetarian potluck meal before the show, hospitality, maybe you make flyers, maybe you're great at sound engineering, or you know, whatever thing you can give. I think everybody has something to offer and bring to the table. So some guys like to say that they have fans. These are my fans. I just think it makes you sound like a shithead when you talk about like your fans or whatever. It's just like, you know that feeling right before you throw up when you get all that acid and all that stuff in the back of your throat? That's what makes me feel like whenever people talk about like the fans. And it's a very, I don't know. Yeah. I'm just glad that there's people that like me enough, that like my music, and it makes me feel good that they believe in it and they support it. And I feel like I hit the fucking lottery. I really do. I never in my wildest dreams would ever imagine that any of these things would ever happen to me just from me writing these songs on an acoustic guitar in my bedroom. And I feel like the luckiest person ever.
Well, I think you work hard for it too, though. It's not like you just lay back and write songs and that's it. No, you work your ass off. You know, you go on tour, you do what it takes to get it done, and so that's really important too.
Thank you.
I actually was, I ran across an article where you were doing, I mean it was from like 2010 I think, but it was talking about doing house shows. And this past winter I actually went to a listening room, which I had never heard of before, where, you know, the whole point of it is just to have the artist perform. It's not a bar, there's no food, it's just you and the artist. How do you compare, like, what do you get from the different styles of performing, like, you know, between the difference between a venue like this, a house show, or like a small intimate show like a listening room?
For me, the whole purpose of it is to have an interpersonal connection and a personal relationship and a vibe. Like I would much rather play. Excuse me, I burped again. I'd much rather play a room like this, the Vaudeville Muse here, that, you know, however many people are going to attend and cram into this little room, and we can have a conversation, than being on like some big elaborate stage. I mean, those are nice too. I like those too. And I mean, hopefully, the purpose of making art is for the more people to see it.
Right.
And I would love it if there were a trillion people in the world that can love my music. I hope all 1 trillion of them, you know, love it. But I like all bits of it, and I like to play the bigger shows and festival shows, and I think those are really nice. But also too, like, say for example, you know, 35 people show up tonight, and we get to have this very unique expression of art and community together with just like us and just the people, you know, who are here. Not only am I going to have a fond memory of it, but the people who get to experience too, that are appreciative of the music that's being made, will have a fond memory of it as well. And that makes me feel really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it all. I don't like to play shows outside. So if you're wondering, hey, I wonder if acoustic music sounds good outside, the answer is no way. It sounds like you're just singing into the, you know, into a shoebox. It sounds the absolute worst, unless you're Paul Simon, which I'm not.
Okay. What do you think? To me, it seems like there's been a resurgence in the interest in vinyl. You're a big vinyl fan to begin with,
Sure.
But have you noticed that as well?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that people who care for music and that want to have the art and the presentation and the packaging, they go out and they buy it with money. And the people who don't want that will listen to it on the internet, on Spotify or iTunes, or they'll download it for free on the internet. If you like to support music and you like to support the bands that do it, I think you should buy it. And if you just want to have it just for yourself and just listen to it on your phone, there's plenty of free ways to do that too. I think physical copies of music, that's my favorite way to do it, because I like to read the notes and I like to see what other bands that they thank and what other things that they have to say. I mean, I can remember getting records, like punk records, whenever I was a kid, and seeing in the liner notes, you should read these books and you should listen to these bands, and these are some awesome charities that you can support if you want to. And it gave me a sense of belonging to it more than just buying a product. You know, it was like, oh, if I want to participate in this, here's some other things that I can participate in.
Right.
And like, there wasn't, you know, Napster or Facebook or iTunes or any of those things. If you wanted to find out about other bands, you had to go to the record store. You had to ask the record store clerk, you know, what he or she thought about, you know, some other band, or hey, I really like Green Day. Are there any other bands that sound like Green Day that I could possibly like? They're like, oh, you should listen to The Clash, or Stiff Little Fingers, or Cockspar, or Against Me, or, you know, there's all these newer bands. What new bands can I listen to? Oh, if you want to listen to new bands, here's a list of, you know, listen to Bad Religion, listen to NoFX, listen to Anti-Flag, and there's all these other punk, you know, bands that you can go ahead and listen to. But there wasn't like an internet database that we could go to.
Right.
We had to go to the record store, and you had to see what the other cool kids were listening to, and that's how I found out about a lot of bands. And I miss that. I really do. Like, I still like to go into the record store. My friend Jason worked at a record store for a really, really long time, and I would always go in there and I would ask him, "What's new? What am I missing out on? What do I need to hear?" Because I don't like to spend time on too much time on the internet.
Right.
But I get to ask my friend who works in that industry what his opinion is of it, and he says, "Hey, have you listened to this band, yada yada yada? I think you'll really like them." And, you know, chance to go.
So speaking of getting ideas of new bands, what are you currently listening to? Some music recs.
Yeah, sure. The new Jeff Rosenstock record, Worry, is amazing. I think it's really, really good. There is a band from back home called Fr.U.N.T, and femme-fronted, really, really good punk rock music. I really like them, a whole pile. The new Tribe Called Quest record, I think, is an amazing political piece about our current climate. And there's a band that I saw on tour last year called Diners, and they're on Asian Man Records, and I really like that band a lot too. I think they make really nice music and really nice songs, and I'd like to listen to more of it.
Okay, so new record comes out in August.
August 18th.
August 18th, now not a secret.
Not a secret for the world.
A tour.
There will be much touring that happens from this moment for probably the next forever. I have plenty of plans to do that. After this tour, I'm going out with Early Riser. We're doing like an East Coast run. And then I have some dates with Frankie again. And we're doing some shows in D.C. and Jersey and Massachusetts.
Right.
And then I'm going to Alaska to play some shows on like an Alaskan tour with Lindsay, and we're gonna go and some of our friends are gonna go up there and play some shows up in Alaska, and then a whole bunch of other big top secret stuff.
So definitely a fall tour.
Definitely
of
a
some
fall
sort
tour,
to
a
look
winter
forward
tour,
to.
going to Europe, and then onward from there. Big shows, little shows, basement shows, fancy shows. Yeah, a whole bunch of new, fun, and exciting things. Not everything is confirmed yet, so I can't really. I'd hate to be a bad spoiler and say something that's not true.
No, I don't expect you to tell me all your secrets, because I know how that works.
I gotta keep you wanting for something.
Exactly. Anything else?
I'm just glad that we're friends and we get to talk about this every time I make a record. It's always good to talk to you. You always have good questions. Thanks for asking.
No problem.
Yeah.